We were trying to break in, but they shot us down. The pilot bought it. I'm certain there's something important in there.
Listen up, Grunt. We are humanity's last hope in this war against the alien menace. Grab your keys and get in the jet. Only you can stop them.
You've failed. Humanity is lost. We will never return.
Breed was the only game developed by Brad Designs 20 years ago. A drop in the pool of shooters that came out after Halo Combat evolved and tried to ride the tails of its success by emulating the formula. Let's find out if this is just another clone or perhaps something more while we infiltrate bases, bomb facilities, roll out with the boys in an unstoppable tank, and suffer through the most underwhelming boss fight of any game ever made. We are about 600 years in the future. Humanity has expanded beyond the stars and it's colonizing new planets. Not all is well, as the colonies are under attack by a ferocious alien race they've decided to call the Breed. In an attempt to save our fledgling planets, the Earth's entire military force, known as the United Space Corps, sent out a fleet on a year-long journey to the Basalius system to fight in a 20-year-long war that would be known as the Colony War. Victorious, but drained of men and supplies, we return home, but instead of a parade, we find the world burning, as the planet was invaded by the Breed, and the entire colony war was just a distraction to leave Earth vulnerable. We can't let this happen, and the race against the clock starts as we attempt to push back the invaders and recapture our home. This is where the game begins. We're a genetically engineered soldier, a grunt grown in a lab for the sole purpose of fighting wars, a genetically enhanced super soldier that can carry 2 weapons and can't sprint, a giant spaceship, a race of aliens with energy-based weapons and goofy-looking vehicles. You can definitely see what the developers were playing back then. This one's another abandoned game that you won't find on any market, and probably you got bundled with other games from an obscure gaming magazine, so you'll have to source it from other places. I think the game crashed on me maybe 5 times, and it's decently stable, unless you alt-tab of course, or play more than 3 missions in a row, or load the save. Other than that, it works surprisingly well without any patches, fixes or anything of the sort on Windows 11, but the game sports plenty of jank that we'll talk about later. Visually, the environment aged quite poorly. The ground is mostly one color, with some trees, rocks and structures plastered around. The missions are happening on various large open maps where you can plot your own route to the objective. These environments range from various flavors of islands to the frozen wastes of Iceland and the sandy dunes of the Nevada desert. There are plenty of bridges, towers, as well as both human and alien bases that I really enjoy. Some of those can be destroyed entirely with a well-placed tank shell or rocket. There are enemy fortifications, artillery pieces, enemy patrols you can encounter, or SAM sites, making the maps feel good to traverse. There's also a space section, but we'll talk about that later. The unit models are also quite simple, regular marines all around. There are engineers, medics and snipers that look different, not to mention the T-posing mech suit. The Breed, however, have a more unique design. A race of armored robots that have multiple units who share a cohesive design and a big bright blue eye, just like the Geth from Mass Effect. You'll encounter different types: regular infantry, red officers with shotguns, elite glowing guards, and large mechs. My only gripe is that this endless, faceless tide of robots doesn't have any dialogue, or any sounds for that matter, not even a single beep. There aren't any special characters, cutscenes, or anything that would build them up as proper villains in the story. Each mission also has a victory and defeat screen with some concept art. These are mostly patriotic pieces you'd find in Helldivers 2, but some of them are really cursed. There aren't too many sounds to talk about. In those moments of silence when no music is playing, and all you can hear is the odd beeping cache of ammo, or, most frequently, the sound of your character's leather underwear rubbing with every footstep. It sounds like we're walking on snow, but considering the climate, it's safe to assume the snow is in our socks. Later on we do get Arctic levels, and it sounds the same, so I think it's safe to assume. The guns sound generic, the classic bang and whoosh you'd find in an old shooter. Some sounds are too loud, and there's a general cacophony going on, sometimes with your squad mates screaming and the soundtrack blasting.
find the data ports.
Speaking of the soundtrack, it's wild. We've got weird space ambient pieces, and suspenseful tracks. The human tracks also range from underground disco hits to industrial rock, that feels at home in a Red Alert game.
Can everyone stop? Can everyone stop?
Yuri, is that you? But I have to be honest, they're energetic enough to work. When you're in the thick of it, fighting aliens left and right, the music gives it a fun, mad atmosphere. I wish there was a more subtle background music present all the time, instead of complete silence or full disco for an entire mission. There's also a specific mission that's only the screams of tortured grunts on a loop, while an alarm blasts non-stop, so that's a fun 10 minutes you can look forward to. When it comes to voice acting, you'll mostly hear Sergeant Gunny Westwood, discount Darth Vader, giving you orders during missions.
Bad weather is interfering with surface communications, and we are unable to get an exact location on you. You're a defective, soldier. There's none of the right stuff in you. I'm going to see you court-martialed.
He's also monologuing every time you open the main menu.
The species is depending on you. We are the good, and they are the evil.
Other than that, you'll have a few quips from your squad mates as they acknowledge your commands, and I swear they hired a caveman to voice the pilot of the gunship in this mission.
This is Bigfoot. Understood. We're behind you.
The tone of the game is trying to be serious with every mission objective, but the dialogue is goofy. Reminds me of the Terran cutscenes from StarCraft 1. Just imagine the Marines making erotic posters and you're there. Let's talk gameplay. With a title like Breed, you'd expect this to be a plan to stop the declining birth rates around the world, but no, this is a squad-based first-person shooter. Most of the time, as there are a few solo missions without any friends, or vehicle missions where you can't relay orders to the other jets or tanks. Speaking of orders, you can issue various commands to your squad of units. You can tell them to spread out, gather around, stop and follow, while also requesting ammo and health packs. In theory, this sounds like a nice system to play with, and it would give the game some depth, if the AI wasn't utterly useless. Their pathing makes them bump into each other constantly, they can barely hit the enemy, and like to eat artillery fire like there's no tomorrow. Luckily, the enemies are easy to kill, and you won't have any issues soloing the entire Breed army in any given mission. The purpose of the squad is to give you more bodies to work with, as you can switch between the members at any time. Mostly in case one of your grunts dies, or if you need a sniper to take out an artillery emplacement before it starts shelling you. I feel this system would really have benefited from some more development time. I do like how you can turn your waypoint reticle and map on and off. The game uses a lot of keybinds, and you'll need a tutorial to learn them all. The guns are strange to use, and you don't have any feedback if you're hitting them or not. Your weapons are all hit scan except the rocket launcher, and you can't aim down the sights except for the sniper rifle. And it feels like you're just spraying and praying. The regular grunt assault rifle ends up being the best overall weapon in the game, and you'll never want to pick up anything else from the ground. The USC weapons also have some great names like the Rule 34 assault rifle, the Butcher, or the Genocide Deluxe rocket launcher. The Breed arsenal has the same weapon types, but they're projectile based and everything's plasma this or that. They're terribly inaccurate and all of them are a pain to use, with a few exceptions. You never get to customize anything sadly, you can't pick your weapons or squad compositions as the missions will dictate what you use. Same goes for vehicles. There's an option for a third-person camera, but it's quite literally impossible to use. You can't aim and it's there just to admire your own ass. Half the game is going to be you running around on foot, while the other half is a barrage of vehicle sections. We've got them all: APC and buggy drives to various objectives, turret sections on dropships, and search and destroy missions with tanks. They're all over the top with machine guns on every single side, and an arsenal that can break down an entire base. The tank sections are the best in this game, and you'll feel unstoppable rolling in this bad boy. You've got a plasma cannon, a machine gun, and 2 types of rockets to make sure nothing scratches the paint. But the good times stop when you have to pilot the VTOL fighters. My god, do I hate these sections. While the game has aged quite a bit, the flying controls aged like an open bottle of Sprite in those 20 years. The ship handles like a fridge, and if you're not going to crash into the environment, be sure that one of the 10 breed fighters on your tail will kamikaze into you. The minimap is mostly useless, and forget about having dogfights with other aircrafts. Since shooting them is so unreliable, you're only going to be able to use the guided missile to hit anything reliably in the air. Did I mention you have a limited supply of them? And the HUD is bugged, so it displays them somewhere below the screen, so you have no idea how many you've got. You line up your shot and hear the empty clicks as the game mocks you. They also lock on to friendly targets for some goddamn reason. But enough of that, let's do the campaign. It all starts with a tutorial. It has 2 missions, where Darth Malak will scream orders at you until you learn the controls. Infantry training will teach you all you need to know about playing the game on foot, how to move, shoot, and issue commands to your squad. The world is green to simulate a simulation, and there are a lot of keybinds you need for this one. The second mission covers vehicles. The tank section is easy, as you have to drive around taking down practice targets and enemies with a decent arsenal of weapons. The game did crash once, but that's why we live in fear and save compulsively in this household. Next up is the jet section, and like I said, it feels like you're flying a fridge, and I somehow managed to complete it without crashing. I think I'm getting the hang of it. No, I'm not. Although the auto land sequence hits the cliff in the end, we don't care. The last part consists of you hopping into the gunner seat of an APC, driven by someone who has never heard of a gear shift. Oh, I think he found the second gear. With the tutorial done, we can start the missions proper. We deploy from the Pillar of Autumn, the USC Darwin, and take a dropship down to Earth in order to locate a technical data backup from an abandoned base. We meet the team, consisting of 2 grunts, a sniper, and a heavy gunner, who looks like he got picked up on his way to the pool. The island is crawling with breed, and before we can land, we have to take out the enemy radars scanning the area in a turret section. With the dishes in pieces, we're dropped off on a beach and we have to make our way inland. There are plenty of enemies and turret emplacements, but nothing we can't handle when this music kicks off. Further ahead, I get pounded by the enemy artillery as I fumble to switch to my sniper, but each breed emplacement has a gunner extremely vulnerable, so it's not too bad to disable them. I climb a tower to get a better view of the land. There's a single dirt ramp leading up to the old communications base, so that's our way in. I told my squad to hold the area, but when I get down I notice my other grunt is not with me. Switching to him reveals he's slowly sliding down the map, and we abandon him to finish the mission. I clear out the enemies on the outside of the base entrance, and they're so eager to meet me they jump right off the fortifications. The next mission starts where we left off. Our objective is to capture this base with 3 towers, which house the controls for the ring wall. Not sure why we can't just fly over the wall, but questions like that are above my grunt pay grade. The second we gain control, there's an artillery piece slamming us. On my way to the base, I find the buggy, and we get another cutscene as a dropship is making an emergency landing. I rush over, and the commander keeps telling me to check the crash site. What do you think I'm doing? I rush in, and I'm court-martialed for not saving the survivors and disobeying orders. As it turns out, they landed in a different triangle-shaped base. We restart, get to the buggy, and take it to the actual crash site. At least as close as I could before this entire breed platoon found me. Why do they all have grenade launchers? This is insane. I try to push through, but the squad goes down hard. I restart again, and this time I know what to expect. We get to the ship, but there are no survivors. Also, this thing looks like it sat on the bottom of the sea with the Titanic. Why is it so rusted if it just crashed? I try to use an enemy artillery to take down the towers defending the bridge, but it's horrible to use. How are they hitting me all the time with this junk? I cross the bridge and blow the enemy out of the base. With the door open, a team of technicians can now infiltrate the base in search of the data. In the third mission, we escort the engineer to the tower. The path beyond the wall is littered with turrets and bushes, and the only thing that's missing is if the breed had Viet Cong tunnels to pop out of. The turrets also make the same beeping sounds as the resource caches we can find, so the breed are smart enough to lure us like this. My engineer almost dies a few times, but we eventually reach the data tower, which provides a 360 view of the entire first map. We never find out what's in that data, however, due to bad writing, or perhaps this is a realistic simulation of the grunt life, where I'm not told things I don't need to know. Quite a shift from the all-knowing chosen one protagonists we've had in most games. Mission 4 is on a different archipelago of islands north of Australia. We've received a distress signal from the resistant fighters opposing the breed invasion, and we have to extract them. The two dropships, Fat Man and White Boy, are sent out on a rescue mission. I have no idea what I'm doing, but eventually I fall down to earth, take down the enemy fighters harassing us, and land with a mostly intact ship. The smoke is just a decoration. I've also noticed the game doesn't let you land any of the airships on your own. They're all scripted set pieces born out of a lack of faith. But now the fun starts. We unload the tank and start the mayhem. Oh, this game feels good. Turn up the music.
Like that!
Track down alien crafts to secure a nearby bridgehead. Next up is another tank crawl to take out the enemy AA sites, defending the airspace around the island. I learn a valuable lesson about not shooting the bridge I'm standing on, and in my next attempt I reach the last SEM site and destroy it. The evacuation team can now land, and we get the T-posing bodysuit that looks like a man cosplaying as a cockroach. Armed with the cremator P500, we clear out the attackers and get the best cutscene in the game.
They shot us down. The pilot bought it. I'm certain there's something important in there. It could be a good idea to take a look.
Good work. Bring the resistance fighters back to Darwin.
The dreaded moment has now arrived. To finish the mission, we have to escort the dropship with the rebels, using the damn jet fighter. I fly around trying to keep up with the dropship and take out a few flyers, mostly just wandering aimlessly in the clouds. Why is the sun taking half the screen and why are the clouds so thick? By some miracle, I survive long enough for Fat Man to leave the atmosphere and win. We've discovered the location of a breed communication base in the South Pacific, and our mission is to infiltrate the facility and place a listening device on the transmitter. So Mission 6 is a solo operation where we control the sniper and infiltrate the enemy base to disable the radar. We start in the space shopping cart, that's the goofiest looking transport ever, and make our way through the forest. We have to dodge traps and enemy patrols, and this is the first time we get to see the interior of an enemy base, as we snuff out the guards. Extend the bridge to the main facility, and dodge the flying drones that one-shot you before reaching the final tower and turn off the radar. Look at this proud face, good job. With the way clear, we can now send the dropship with the engineer. It's a hot landing and we have 9 minutes to infiltrate the base and plant the bug. There are two paths. We either assault the front of the base for a quicker but fortified route, or take the longer but safer way around the back. Since we're on a time limit, I charge in headfirst, and once I reach the door, the game switches me to the engineer, who was apparently chilling outside. The communication center looks cool as fuck, and we plant the bug and download the data from the center. We've learned the location of the rebel leader Carla Alvarez. She's kept in a prison ship en route to an interrogation complex in the Mojave Desert. So we take to the skies again and lead a strike mission to take out the SAM sites. It goes as well as you'd expect. Eventually I take out the bridge, SAMs and enemy tanks after 4 attempts, but with the mission 1 we can return to Darwin. Why is everything so white? Now the rescue mission starts. Use a jet to blow up the tanks, other fighters and the transport coming to take Carla. Now we can land an APC and gun everything down on the way to the prison. There are a few elites along the way, but we have enough firepower to take them out. Once we get in, we rescue Carla, and I'm just thinking how the design team came up with her model. Okay, so this is a high-ranking USC member turned rebel leader. How can we make this female character unique and interesting? We could have her T-pose. Nonsense, that's for men only. Oh, I know. We take off some armor plates and make her chest so wide you need to build a bridge to hold it all together. We're 10 missions in, and while they're getting more and more linear and the open world feeling fades with each mission, the plot starts to thicken. We investigate a crashed dropship in Iceland, and I appreciate the change in scenery from all those palm trees. Our 2 ships, Snowman and Bigfoot, enter the area, and I swear Bigfoot's pilot is an actual caveman flying that thing.
This is Bigfoot. I can see a massive breed troop movement. They've also picked up the signal.
Or maybe it's actually Bigfoot, who knows. We survived the onslaught of anti-aircraft and cannon fire with 4 HP, just enough to find the crashed ship and deploy the ground forces. The ship's relatively intact, not like the rust bucket we found in Mission 2, but it was all a trap and we get swarmed. The breed were smart enough to lure us here, but for what reason? As it turns out, we're not dead, just captured. We regain consciousness in a prison, as another man, Lieutenant Parker, is starting a prison break just at the right time for us. Here we can see the twisted bodies of our comrades in stasis fields. There isn't any music in this level, instead we get an ominous track, an alarm ringing out, and the constant scream of other people that echo in the prison. Are they tortured for information? Experimented on? Or is there something more sinister happening here? Eventually we make it out to the elevator and leave this cursed place behind.
That's the shaft to the exit. We're almost out. Be on the lookout for guards.
You mean the ones I'm shooting at? The icy grasp of Iceland greets us as we leave the prison. I open the door and we escape from the facility on some buggies. We have to reach the old USC base to send a distress signal to Darwin. I can't tell if those are plasma rounds or snowflakes coming towards me. We eventually reach the base and continue on foot, and here we make the discovery of what the breed has really been doing in that prison. We're under attack, but those look like Marines. A closer look at the bodies reveals we're fighting cyborgs, humans stripped of limbs and life, fused with machines, and a brain left exposed in the cold with 2 eyes looking dead at us. They found a way to weaponize our fallen brothers. We activate the signal, and Lieutenant Parker recognizes some of his friends.
Stinky Peters, is that you? Oh God, what have they done to you? Chubby Johnson, not you as well.
With the storm raging on, Darwin can't send the ship to rescue us, but Parker knows of an abandoned base with a bird we can use to escape. After disabling more SAM sites and a radar, we can finally get out of here unnoticed. A little too convenient that the breed would leave buggies and dropships untouched in these bases, considering how the early levels were filled with wrecks. Back home, Lieutenant Parker gives us the location of the largest breed fighter base on Earth, and taking it out could be a turning point in this war. This is the first space mission of the game, having us destroy mines, ships, and transports. Once that's done, we descend and carpet bomb the area to destroy the base and the ships resupplying it. Another strike against the enemy starts with a distraction. We have to destroy the enemy fuel depots, and this turret section is almost impossible to survive, because the machine guns are incredibly inaccurate. I'm killed in action, and wait a second, who's that guy in the wheelchair? I haven't seen him all game. And why does it look like my casket is a nuclear warhead? Anyway, I survived the deadly distraction long enough for the last tank section of the game. We're getting bombarded by every enemy in the game, and by the time the cutscene ends, the tank is at half health. But the death machine is still fun. Take out their tanks and fuel silos to win the mission. And now, the final mission of the campaign. As it turns out, those buggies and ships were too good to be true. Lieutenant Parker is a breed spy, set loose to reach Darwin and find its position. The all-out attack on the fighter base and the fuel stations was just a ploy to leave the ship undefended. Sergeant Gunny blasts him with a shotgun, and the defense of the Darwin starts. We scramble the jets to take out the enemy ships supplying the fighters. The enemy fighters love to slam into you, so save often. If you die now, you'll get a special cutscene with the Darwin going down, and the defeat of humanity.
They want to destroy Darwin.
We also get this horribly cursed death screen. With the ships destroyed, we return to Darwin since the damn robots managed to board it. We have to defend Carla since she's the only one with the code chip implant, necessary to reactivate the ship's defenses. So we'll fight endless waves of breed and human cyborgs. Everything the breed can throw at us is in this hangar. We fight our way through the ship and we need to defend Carla while she works on the defenses. She gets into trouble and we have to rush through the enemies as the time limit is super strict. Apparently our name is Snake now. The last objective is to clear out the bridge where 2 breed generals are located. Coming from such an adrenaline-fueled gauntlet getting here, I was ready for the ultimate face-off. Imagine my disappointment when the generals wouldn't move at all. and you could find an angle to shoot them while they couldn't shoot you back. It's such an underwhelming boss fight against two sponges that need around 10 magazines to take out. 1 down, 2 down, and we get the ending cutscene with Carla.
Hey, Snake! You're my hero! I always did believe in you. Those bastards didn't stand a chance against your highly trained...
Well done, boys.
That cuts off halfway for some reason. Apparently she wanted to invite us to her apartment. Is this why the game is called Breed? We'll never find out. Instead, we get to watch this guy gyrate. Woo! Go Steve! The final scene has one of the grunts calling in some kind of flesh horror that is chilling in a tank on the ship. Was this always here? Did the aliens place it here? Or did they attack the ship to get their hands on it? So many unanswered questions, and Sergeant Westwood comes out to say,
To be continued.
No, it won't, Gunny. I don't think it will be continued. Back when this wasn't complete abandonware, I remember playing the multiplayer mode with friends, and it was a lot of fun to have 3 people in a vehicle shooting at everything. But now it's dead. You can still host your own games, but without the option to add any bots, you'll only be able to explore the intricate and quite fun maps the game launched with, alone. Overall, Breed is a fun evening if you don't look too close at the flying sections. That early 2000s jank that I love is definitely here, and some more dev time would have helped this a lot, but it was a very ambitious game for the time. The story feels like the amalgamation of all the sci-fi movies out there, but the game has its fun moments. While the Breed don't have any dialogue, we can draw our own conclusions from the way they act. And of course, the flesh puppets they like to make. While they are fragile, their numbers are legion, and are not afraid to throw platoons at the problem until it goes away. While this didn't end up being a Halo killer, since the studio shut down without releasing anything else, the Geth appeared in the first Mass Effect game back in 2007, so we can call Mass Effect a breed killer if you want. There's another game with a similar alien design that released in 2010, and I'll cover that one as an unofficial sequel at some point. I hope you enjoyed the video. Many thanks to everyone who watched the No Man's Land one, and I appreciate all the comments and the suggestions. The list of games to cover has increased exponentially, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Have a pleasant holiday, and I'll see you in the next year.